So
Very
let
good
me
evening,
introduce. Good evening, sir. So before you start, let me introduce. Just I want to say something about you, sir. So Dr. Ajay B. Gadicha working as head of the department in the Department of CSE, PR Poti College of Engineering and Management, Amravati. He has completed his PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from Sant Gadje Baba Amravati University. He became first merit and university topper in Master of Engineering in Information Technology. He has 11 years of experience in the field of computer forensics and information technology. He has published 68 research papers in national and international journals and conferences. He has published 2 books and 4 chapters in Scopus Index book. He has 22 patents on IPR India in the field of computer forensic and machine learning. He has a field of interest in video forensics, network security, image processing, video summarization. Dr. Gadicha currently working in 180 editorial and 50 plus reviewer boards of various national and international bodies and communities, including ISTE, CSA, etc. Dr. Ajay B. Gadicha received many awards like Best Young Research Award in 2017, Best Researcher Award in 2019, Young Researcher in Computer Science and Engineering in 2019. Sir, really, we are very glad to have such a talented person in this program. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being a part of this FDPC. Thank you so
my
much
honor,
for
sir. My privilege, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Now, platform is yours, sir.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Are you able to share your screen, sir?
Give me a moment, sir. I'm sharing my screen. Give me a
Sir,
moment.
I given the right, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure. Great, sir. Great. Awesome. Thank you. A very good evening to all. My special thanks to Shri Vishnu Engineering College for Women Autonomous, Bhimavaram, Department of Computer Science and Engineering.
Sir, your screen is
Special
not
thanks.
visible, sir.
Yes, sure.
Please share your screen, sir.
Is it okay, sir? I think this screen is visible now.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Sure, that's great. So first and foremost, a special thanks to GS Rao sir and Sunil sir for giving me the opportunity being as a head of department. Today, I know that you are too busy for this faculty development program, and with this static as well as this hectic schedule, your busy schedule, you are prompting some time to learn something extraordinary, which is organized by this Vishnu Institute of Engineering and Technology. So before moving anywhere, before moving to ahead, I first and foremost start with this particular beautiful video which is designed by the Intel. So I humbly request to every individual, please look at this particular video which gives you an idea how the technology is going to be changed industrial revolution 4.0 and upcoming industry 4.0 in the rapid pace. So I'm requesting to all the participants as well as the senior professor who are attending this particular workshop or FDP, please have a look at this particular video.
Sir, we are not getting audio, sir.
Sorry?
We are not getting audio, sir.
Give me a moment. Sir, now?
No,
Is
sir.
it okay now, sir?
No, sir. Not audible, sir.
Not audible. Give me a moment.
You have to share the particular multimedia, sir. You have shared. There is an option like in the menu, share the multimedia. Then you will get this audio. It seems to me. So the video is clear, but there is no audio. That's what it is.
Sir, excuse me, you need to share your entire screen. Then only the audio will come.
Sir, audio is not coming, sir. Video only we are seeing.
So I think my screen is visible to all.
Yes, yes. Your screen is visible. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So today I discuss some of the topic that is which is relevant to artificial intelligence and machine learning application and its implication to industry 4.0. As we are, learning in the phase of education 4.0, So we know that as far as this education 4.0 demanding a couple of stages and the processes which is need to be implemented, which is needs to be changed as being as academician. So we have the responsibility to turn it out our student in active blended learning or a project based learning. So a more sophisticated approach, or we can call it as a more tends to approach a very we need to adopt it, being as a professor, being as an academician, being as an educator, being as a tutor. So we know that completely across the globe has experiences a transitional shift from physical to digital space. As this transitional shift has been there from from physical to digital space, it's our responsibility to take a more over technology driven processes, or technology has done a brilliant job nowadays which providing the tools required to maintaining a high level of efficiency and remote collaboration as well. We know that being as a academician of a computer technocrats, we are using the mechanism or a technology called artificial intelligence machine learning. Yes, these technologies are also being imparting into the education sector as well. How it is being useful, like we know that a more personalized learning, the education 4.0, the lots of virtual whiteboards came into the existence. They are using the artificial intelligence concept, more remote learning appropriately. Maybe some of the organization using the plethora of education, the data, more importantly the data which we have, data at our fingertips, and accurate assessment as well. So without wasting the time, I directly come up with my session targets, which are very handy and simplistic way of delivering the content, and which will easily understandable to all the participants who are joining this session. As far as the today's target session target is concerned, more really focusing on the view of AI basics, the artificial intelligence basics, how it is going to be executed, and what are the pros and cons of AI which we are going to be used. As far as this artificial intelligence basic is concerned, I must tell you one thing over here. Give me a moment. I can share the screen again and show you something which is very interesting for all the guys. Yeah, I hope that my screen is visible to all.
Yes, sir, visible.
Great, great. Thank you, sir. So what I need to tell you guys that as far as the artificial intelligence is concerned, we know that we are in an era where all the things are kept on our fingertips only. What we need to do, we need to just take up this idea of using the data in such a way that which is being available just a cornerstone of our data points. This website, that is this person does not exist on .com. This person does not exist .com. What I need to do, once I refresh this particular website, you will get the different number of screens or different faces at every time. Dear participants, you cannot believe it. This is a website where AI based faces are being created, and you cannot believe it. Believe me guys, these all persons are not there on the earth. These are all faces created through AI mechanism, where the feature engineering and feature extraction will be performed, and these faces are generally used for dataset purpose only. There nothing has to be do like guys, and you cannot believe it. These persons are actually not in the existence. They are just created for the purpose of using into the AI based application, and in case of AI based mechanism only. So matter of the fact is, nowadays AI is everywhere. What we need to do, we need to put it down our eyes in such a way that how it is being used full for our day-to-day life and a mechanism point of view that we need to understand in detailed manner. So first and foremost, I go with the AI basics. That's I already told you one of the fantastic example, that is this person does not exist.com, where all the images which you gonna see on your computer screen, it is completely a imaginary picture or imaginary images, where these all images are going to be used or performed for data set purpose only. Next, I'm going to talk on the overview of machine learning. We know that the types of machine learning, how it is being going to be used. Then supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. Case study. As far as the case study of this particular structure is concerned, today we take a case study on NMIST dataset, which is used to identify the classification phase of NMIST dataset, where the digital recognizer are being to be identified, its application, and finally we can conclude the session. Yes, coming to the point, that is what exactly the artificial intelligence and how we can involve a branch AI to the various mechanism which we are going to be perform in a day-to-day life. The artificial intelligence is evolving branch of computer science concerned with building smart machines capable of performing the task that typically required human intelligence. Yes, we are aware that this education 5.0 and the industry 4.0 needs a revolutionized way of using the artificial intelligence. As this education 4.0 is taking a huge much impact in our day-to-day life, it's our responsibility to learn the various core handling part of artificial intelligence. As you go into the micro level programming of artificial intelligence, you need to be go ahead towards a machine learning. As you go into the depth of this machine learning, a micro programming of a machine learning, you will get into the details of like deep learning. And once you get this deep learning, you are already familiar with this ANN, CNN, and TNN as well. So the overall scenario, or we can call it as a complete situation, is like vice versa. We need to understand with the basics. And once you understand with the basics, we can move ahead towards the details of AI, ML, data science, as well as the neural networks as well. The overview of machine learning. As we can talking about every time, the data is expecting much on the internet. In a single seconds of data, in a single seconds of, we can call it as in a single minute, or having a 60 seconds, the huge amount of data is overloaded on the internet. So as the data is coming in the terabytes or in the gigabytes are coming into the data, what we have observed being as academicians, so our moral responsibility is to observe the data, how it is being coming towards the new trends. Now as the data is chunk of data is already being there, we can call it as a big data. So what are the tools and techniques are available, and how these tools and techniques are learned themselves to generate the predictive and non-predictive outcomes. Basically, generally what will happen, we are familiar with the patterns. Yes, as far as learning of a human being is concerned, machine learning is a kind of, everybody knows that all the participants who have joined this faculty development program, anyhow, they have in a single time in a day, or maybe they are a complete journey, they have learned ample number of time, they have identified, they have listened this word machine learning. Yes, obviously, but we are talking about just a learning over here. The human being is probably and asking for a patterns. As they are visualizing the thing, as being as a human being, we are visualizing the things, we are recognizing the things, we are sensing the things. So as we are recognizing the things, as we are sensing the things, as we are performing some human interactions on the data, then we are generating some predictions. So this is a kind of a, tendency of a human that trying to accomplish. So human learning can be accomplished by maybe objects, experiences, patterns, text and figure. But in case of machines, it's difficult to realize all above. Why this is so? Can let me know? Can anybody tell me? The machines are difficult to realize all above, but the reason behind it, we need to train it. Because being as a human being, we have to be very conscious. We are conscious about the object, experiences, patterns, text and figures and etc. But being as a machine, it's very difficult to recognize or realize all the facts which being as a human, which is very simple and very easy. So human learning system, how the human learning system is basically work, then we can come towards the machine learning and how the machine has to be trained and coming to the appropriately working mechanism. We know that the HLS system, that is a human learning system, is basically working in this particular scenario, in this particular mechanism, that as an input we are taking a sensing and perceptions. Being as a human, we are trying to not predicting the output very easily, but we are trying to generating those mechanisms and powerful hittings from the input itself. So being as a input, we require some sensings and perceptions. Once it is being input given to the processing phase, we have some certain different stages in the processing phase as well. First we have knowledge and memory. Then we are discussing about a decision and interface and learning, more importantly, because we are being as a human, we are learning the things at every stage, and once we are learn, we are taking the experiences. So sensing and perception terms a very vital role for being as a human being and turning to be a key vital in the human learning mechanism or a human learning system is concerned. Once it has been turned to be a processing one, then it generates a appropriate output with actual interaction as well. So this is a kind of a human intelligence, or we can call it as a human learning system. And how the machine has to be put it into there, how the machine learning system is going to be executed, those all parameters. First and foremost, machine is also taking input. That is a similarity which we have. We are also taking some inputs and generating some output after performing some processing phase, some declarative phase, some visualization phase. In a similar manner, machine is also taking input, doing at a feature extraction. Feature extraction is a kind of a process where all the concepts has been identified, all the features has been identified from, it may be a text, it may be an image, it may be audio, it may be a video, or etc. So from multimedia content, the feature extraction can be identified. Then it turns to be in a classification model. It may be classification like which we are generating a model basically called it as. It may be a machine learning model, or it may be a deep learning model, that depend upon the categorizations which we have in terms of data. And finally, we are reaching to the output that it is a car or it is not a car. Okay, as far as this output is concerned, it's very interesting idea or an interesting story will be there for machine point of view. They need to recognize in two patterns. They need to recognize the output in terms of maybe a bifunctional way or a multifunctional way, or we can call it as a multi-class way, or a binary classification will be there. So that depend upon the the training phase of a machine, which we are going to be giving input to the machine. And as we are giving input to the machine, that how input has to be given to the machine, then that depend upon the model, how model has to be generating the actual idea. Once the model has been decided, once the model has been taken into the part, then the appropriate result has taken into the consideration, and then finally the actual results are generating. What are the relationship between AI, ML, and deep learning? We know that this AI is a broad category where these are the micro level programming will be there. We can call it as these are these subsets of these all artificial intelligence, where AI plays a very vital role and significant role. A broad area of AI is categorized into the different segregations like machine learning, deep learning, and aggregation of this AI, machine learning, deep learning, which we have called a data science. Data science, yes, we requires a couple of things to learn this concept like mathematics, algebra, which we requires probability. Then being as learning the data science, we are somehow we are deciding the topic on discussing on the forensics data as well. So in short, we can call it as this AI, ML, and DL having its the core relationship among the all. And apart from that, we are focusing on the broad categories as well. Now, the important finding is if machine has to learn that its data component, which is so very crucial to avail, then what we need to do, we need to identify the type of the data which is available to learn. We know that we have the set of data, maybe types is categorized in different structures like structured data, unstructured data, large set of data, oftenly changing, we can call it as a big data, then remote data sets. So we know that for training a machine, we requires a data set. We requires a data so that a machine can prepare a model and generate a predictive output. That may be depending upon, on the category of a data. It may be a numeric data, it may be a categorical data, it may be a textual data. That depend upon the feature and nature of a data. So in short, as we can talking about overall the overview of a machine learning, important finding is if the machine has to learn that its data component, then which is so crucial to avail, which gives us the actual data points in terms of mechanism. So it may be your structured data, it may be unstructured data, large set of data, and remote sets of data. What are the different categories of data? We have discussed like various categories. Very first is structured data, where the data in key value pair, the value of a key, the actual value of a key and the value has to be there in case of structured data. You don't need to worry about their a key as well as its value. In the data itself will be there in the form of tables. It is in the form of database rows and columns and easy to search and process. This is a structure kind of a data where all the things are available on your table. Just you wanted to process that data and try to generate the result. It's just like you are going into the restaurant and all the materials are all the foodstuffs are available on your table. What you need to do, to just eat it. That kind of a stuff is there in case of a structured data, where all the material, all the structure, all the the data sets are ready. What you need to do, you need to just apply your classification model or any kind of a model which you want to apply. It may be a classification, it may be a linear regression, it may be a KNN, it may be a gradient descent, it may be a supervised or unsupervised kind of a things. So you need to apply over there and just to get the actual kind of a data structure. But there is a problem situation occurs. And when the problem situation occurs, when the data is unstructured one. This is a simple example I must quote over here. You can easily observe the figure where a batsman is running towards the main crease, where the fielder is throw the ball for run out purpose, and umpire is closely observing the things. Now you can easily saw that the data is completely unstructured one. The stumps are not showing exactly. The bowler is trying to hit the stumps as well because fielder has put it thrown a ball towards the bowler, and bowler is trying to hit the stumps as well. So the matter of the fact is completely, as far as the umpire is concerned, this third umpire is concerned, the situation is completely critical one, because umpire has to it's quite difficult to identify whether the batsman is out, or in another sense whether it is not out, or in another context we can call it as whether the stumps is completely hits in on or in off situation. So we can call it as, in this particular situation, the key value pair data is completely, which we have this key value pair data, but it's very difficult to identify the every situation. In this particular situation, you can easily observe the file name and the player name. You can get like, we have the player with fielders, we have the umpire, we have the batsmen who are, we have the umpire and these situations. So in short, we can call it as, in case of unstructured data, the data is completely a mixed type of categories. It may be a category, it may be a categorical data, it may be a numeric data, it may be a textual data, it may be a kind of a stuff which are available. It's quite difficult to implement it. But what happens in case of generally, as we are applying a mechanism or we are applying a model and generating the predictive output, then it comes to a very difficult phase. Third idea, that's called as a remote data set. In case of remote data set where the confidential data or stationary data will be there, these are all the data sets which a machine has to take the input for learning purpose and try to generate the exact results. What happen in case of large data sets called as a big data, where the dynamical changing will be there, like stock data, network data, healthcare data, and academic data. So these are a couple of data which is available on the internet. We can easily observe and try to put it down into their physical relationships. Overview of machine learning. So human or machines use the intelligence for the various applications. We know that the data is available. If we have the data, we can apply some algorithmic approach towards the data and try to convert them into a meaningful result in terms of intelligence. Overview of machine learning, if we can talking about how to generate the intelligence from the data, it's very obvious question. So we can apply the two mechanism over here. Either we go with the programming versus the machine learning. As far as the programming is concerned, so programming computation, it may be having the prime numbers we are going to be performed. But for ML, we are taking some decisions, making kind of approach where the spam, for example, the spam email detection will be there. Whereas these are the kind of a case which we are generally looking or prompting towards the programming scenario. But as far as this machine learning approach is concerned, in case of machine learning, we are decidingly use the three categories. That is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Now, what exactly is basic mean by supervised learning? In a short and the simplest manner, we can call it as a learning via supervision, called as a supervised learning, where the inputs are already known by the machine. Just we need to apply a model and trying to train it, test it, and finally generate the predicted output. Let's take an example as far as this supervised learning is concerned. We have the input data on a diagrammatical representation. You can easily observe. We have the input set of data like apple annotation. So these are the apples. We know that we are doing the annotation to these particular input data, giving this input data for the processing phase that called as a model. And this model is basically, easily understand or recognize that it is an apple, and after doing the processing, it will generate the output. That's called as a supervised learning, where the inputted data is already known to the model and it just predicting the output in terms of their specification. So over here, point of moment, we apply one case study, which is very simplest and finest case study. Maybe a moment, I can share my screen. It is a good case study where we can generate a kind of sorry we can generate the MNIST dataset and try to identify these facts and identification. Give me a moment. Yes, I think my screen is visible. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, sir, for acknowledging. So as far as the supervised learning is concerned, I'm applying just a small classification mechanism. Okay. Using a linear regression as well as one of the fantastic cross-validation classifier, through which we can get the idea how the machine has been trained and how it is being useful as far as this MNIST data set is concerned. So over here, what I did from sklearn.dataset, I imported one of the a fantastic data set called fetch openml. MNS3 is equals to fetch openl log. Guys, here what I need to do, I need to write this MNS3 dataset underscore 784 because it is a huge data set, and from that data set just I observed this 784. What you need to do, you need to write this data set name very well, because if you are mismatching something, it gives an error. And moreoverly, I'm not using a Jupyter notebook. I'm just using a Google Colab directly. It is very easy and simplest way to recognize the Python programming as well as the machine learning programming very easily. So you can use a Google Colab directly, so that it will be very easy and very handy to identifying this classification problem or regression problem or kind of a machine learning which you are going to be used. It may be either a supervised learning, it either a unsupervised learning or a reinforcement learning. So it executes the things very easily. So what you need to do, you need to just write the things and print shift enter. You can easily get the output. Now you can observe over here a data set is loaded with some pixel values. I hope that my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. So you can easily observe the data set is loaded with some pixel value like pixel 157172 and dot so on up to finally it has some values like okay. So the data set is already loaded. It is a big data set. It takes some time to load it on. What I need to do, I need to apply a classification mechanism of a supervised learning so that I am getting the exact MNIST data set towards the digit identifier or a digit rectifier. Okay. So I use the matplot library for graphical representation or a data visualization. It's very simple to take it as a data plots. So what I need to do, I'm using a variable, say x and y, that is equals to MNIST. So I'm using actual data over here because we know that we need to just rectify the data as well as its target as well. So MNIST is equals to data we have already declared, then we have the target. Okay. Now once that is being identified, then I'm using a method that's called a random digit. I'm using over here. Random digit equals to now you can see a random digit is equals to x of I'm using anything. Suppose let's take an example. If I'm using a 3600 over here, okay. Now it's give me a moment. What it says, not enough values to unpack. Give me a moment. Not enough values to unpack. Expected to got one. Okay.
Sir, you have written MNIST equal to target.
Sorry.
Equal
Sorry, my
sign would
bad.
not be here.
Yes, my bad. Is it okay now?
No, sir, not okay. MNIST
Oh,
equal sign would not be there. Yes, sir. In both, in target also. In target also.
oh, it's
Yes.
my bad.
You
My
have
bad.
put
Sorry.
equal.
Sorry. Extremely sorry. It's my bad.
That is typing mistake. No issue.
Yes. So yes. I think I got it from chat box as well. Thank you, everybody. I think everybody is looking at what exactly is going on. Thank you, everybody, for giving close attention. So what we can do, we can identify the digitizer. So in that we can use MNIST prominent data set where you can identify some random digit. Okay, so I'm using some random digit. It's equals to random digit dot reshape. Yes, the images is of I think 28 by 28 pixels will be there. So directly I'm using 28 by 28, which is very easy to get the think it's reshape. Okay. Some random digits equals to random digit reshape. Create, then plt dot im show some random digit, comma, map equals to matplot library dot cm binary, comma, interpolation interpolation. Okay. So I think show some random digit.
So that percentage symbol you should remove, I think, sir, before matplotlib.
Yes. I can show some random digit. Okay.
Hello, sir. All our code are developed by you or free
Sorry, sir, can
available
you?
in the
Yes,
net?
yes.
These are developed by you, ML Workshop IP and PY, or it is available in the free in the net, sir? Repository.
Sorry, sir. Can
Hello?
you please come up again?
Actually, you are executing some code now with the Python code.
Hello. Yes, sir.
These are available in the net or it is by you, sir?
Hello. Yes, sir. Can you please come up again?
Sir, you are showing some codes now.
which we have declared this 3600, this random digit x of 3600, where 8 has been there. So we need to just, decide, or we need to prepare the model in such a way that which gives us an exact solution in terms of classification. Now as we are classifying the things, it will gives the two sorts of output. Like it either gives as a binary classification, or it gives it as a multi-class classification. As far as this a binary class is concerned, this binary class will gives us the result in terms of either true or false, or 1 or 0, or we can call it as yes or no. These kinds of situation will be happening. Let's take an example. If I'm changing some values over here, like instead of using uh, 3600, now I'm using supposed to be 2800. Okay. So let's see which digit has been occurred from MNIST dataset. As far as this 2800 is concerned, as changing the values, you can get some new sort of digit from the dataset. Yes, you can get it. You can get it 4 right now. It is a handwritten 4. So we need to just predict the, we need to design a model in such a way that that will be predicting the exact sort of values, categorized values, and it gives us the result in terms of actual sort of symbolical representation. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to just prepare a model. So for preparing a model, I'm using called say X train. First we are training the model X train, then taking it as called X test is equals to using some random values, like taking it as the 6000. There's some different values of like 6000 to 7000 maybe. Okay. In a similar way, we are using a white train and say white test. There's some having same values I'm keeping over here, like y. Same values we are kept like 6000. Okay. And some values again we are using the same one, 6000 to 7000. They're just training a model and just declaring some values so that we are getting exactly the shuffling index, or kind of cross validation, as well as a model where we can start predicting the things in terms of classification phase is concerned. Now we are importing one numpy as numpy. We know that this is a kind of a package where we can use the numeric sort of shuffling will be there. So I can shuffle the index with the help of a variable, say shuffle index is equals to, so I'm using np dot random permutation, because as this data is going to be performed number of permutations, so I'm going to be used directly through n number of permutations. So over here we can use the number of permutations. Shuffle index, so np dot random, using combination of permutations supposed to be 6000. And we are using a X train, from a white train. So I'm using a white train, and using some random values, like 6000 to 7000. Okay. And the similar way we are using a X train from a white train is equals to X train. Now we have the shuffle index, so we can directly use it. Okay, it's very simple. Comma, it's y train of. Sorry, we are using the train function first. We are first training it and then we are performing the testing one. It's X train, Y train. See a test also there. Y train. So Y train of shuffle index again. So here what we can do, I'm creating a Y train of some values like Y train 3, where the values of Y train are actually cross-checked or cross-validate with the exact data set. So Y train of 3 is equals to Y train. So Y train of these values are equals to 3 as we are taking some number over here. You may take any number that doesn't compulsory that we are taking values at a time at 3 as well. No. So we can take at any values like, and the similar values we are taking it at Y test supposed to be. Okay. So Y test of 3 supposed to be, we are using this Y test equals to 3. So Y test 3. You can now easily observe some of the values. We are just predicting the values false. The reason behind it, as we have given the input it as 2800, okay, and we are getting it valued as 4. Where now, as far as this training and testing model is concerned, you can easily observe the some values are getting it as false, and in somehow at some values are completely different ones. So you can easily observe values which I am getting in terms of training and testing, training the model, it will gives it the result false completely. So we can change the value over here. Supposed to be if I am taking the value it over here, suppose I am taking the value 2. Okay, in a similar manner, if I am taking the value, I'm going suppose 2, and if I am run it, so immediately this classifier will give the result in terms of this exact value. Okay. Now suppose to be if I'm changing that particular value as the result is given it as false. Now I'm predicting the values as inputted in the, as far as this particular data set is concerned. Now what I need to do is it's predicting the results again some different values as well. Okay, so these kinds of values, it may be changed, it may be different one. So we need to predict these with the help of a cross validation classifier, through which we can get the data, how it is being used and how the accuracy has been changed as far as the model is concerned. Okay, so back to the point, my presentation that we have shared where we have stopped. So in case of supervised learning, we are just classifying the things which are known one and convert them into appropriate solution. That comes in case of happen in case of supervised learning. That is a classification where the categorizing a given set of data into the classes, and it can be performed on both the structured and unstructured data. In this case, we have predicted the model. We have the values, set of values, where we are performing some, numerous number of computations and permutations, and then we are generating the exact result. where the various types like predictive model we have, binary classification we have, multi-class classification we have. In case of a binary classification, which we have like, either the value is true or false, or the value is yes, no, or 1 or 0. In a similar case, we have the multi-class classification where the every class having its own label, set of labels. So this is a case study which we have discussed a couple of minutes before. Like we are going to use a MNST data set where a classifier and the class validation classifier we are going to be used on it. Another example called spam detector. It can be easily detected either it is spam or a non-spam with the help of classification. You need to just classify the things. Similarly, on a classifier which you are going to apply, whether it is a spam one or it is being in boxes one, a similar kind of example which we have. In case of a supervised learning, this is a kind of a mechanism which generally adopted, or the learning mechanism or programming sense will have impacted on this scenario. Like we have the incoming mails as far as this email spam and non-spam example is concerned. So we have the various emails, we are processing it. Once we are processing it, it converts them into a feature extraction. Then the training phase will be there, then learning model, neural network classifier, and finally it's generate the result either in terms of two separate things that's called a multi-class, whether it is a spam one or it is a non-spam one. In case of unsupervised learning, very first basic example or a fantastic kind of a approach which we are going to be used that's called as a clustering approach. It is assignment of set of observations into a subset called a cluster, so that observation in the same cluster are similarly being used. Now, what happened in case of unsupervised learning, or we can call it as in case of a clustering approach, we have the set of data. Now, in that particular data set, we know that the data is unstructured format, whereas in case of a supervised kind of a things, we have the data in terms of supervised one, we have the data in terms of structured one. So where here the point of interaction data is completely unstructured one, where we need to form a set of appropriate resolutions. We have to form the set of appropriate data and try to convert them into the meaningful structured one. As far as this clustering approach is concerned, we know that we have the data in terms of different definite structures, a definite kind of undefinite kind of meaningful unmeaningful data. So what we need to do in first of as far as this clustering approach is concerned, we are trying to build them into different clusters, like cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3. You can saw in the diagrammatically representation. Now as these clusters are being formed, as this cluster has been has to be put it down over there, these clusters are generating some sort of a meaningful data over there. Like it is a job of a data scientist engineer to put them into an appropriate field, to put them into appropriate table, put them into appropriate model, and model will generally finalizing it and turns to be a great deal with all these functionalities. What is the difference between this supervised and unsupervised learning? As far as this learning or this differentiation between these two mechanism is concerned, both having their different pros and cons. So we need to finding out there by performing some different algorithms. Like as far as this clustering is concerned, we know that we have the centroid based clustering called K-means algorithm, density based clustering, distribution based clustering, and hierarchical based clustering. As far as classification, which we have already executed one of the example with the help of MNST dataset, that is logistic regression, naive Bayes, stochastic gradient descent, k nearest neighbor, decision tree, and so on. And application of this machine learning is concerned, where I think all the kind of industrial 4.0 or education 5.0, all these mechanisms has been adopted as far as AI and ML is concerned. So lot many applications are there. We just need to observe each and every parameter in terms of their significance and utilization. It may be used in image recognition, automatic language translation, medical diagnostic, stock market prediction, online fraud detection, virtual personal assistants, email spam and malware filtering, self-driving cars, product recommendation, traffic prediction, speech recognition, and we know that the Google uses a speech recognition mechanism where we can search the content through speech only. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discuss my views towards the machine learning. If you have any doubt or any query, you please let me know. Thank you, everybody, for listening very patiently.
Dr. Sunil?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much for giving the outline of machine learning and